I suppose, like, while we're on the subject of the pandemic, it'd be good to get your thoughts on kind of where we're at with it. Like, I mean, it's sort of rightly or wrongly fallen down the news cycle to some extent now. There's the war in Ukraine. We've got local elections coming up. There's a lot of political instability over here and in the US. So things have kind of, like, even though the numbers of deaths are still in the hundreds a day, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it does feel like there's that, I don't know, the days of salacious Downing Street briefings and everyone just thinking, oh, like, when is this going to end? Like, all of that stuff appears to have sort of been sunsetted to some extent. So what's your take on it? Like, where are we with the pandemic?
It's a good question. I call it, or a lot of my colleagues and I say we're in a new phase of the pandemic. The pandemic is not over. It's a different phase to what we were in. Like you mentioned, the daily briefings, and we are in a different phase. That's due to many things, mainly vaccination rollout, of course, but also the development of new treatments. You mentioned recent trials. So there's a new drug called Paxlovid, which has been recently licensed, and that is given to high-risk patients if they get COVID now. So somebody who may be vaccinated, may be boosted, but may still have limited immunity for whatever reason, or maybe immunocompromised, for example, they may still be at high risk of getting a serious outcome from COVID, right? Hospitalization or death. So this new antiviral drug, which can be given within a few hours of realizing you've got COVID, will hopefully suppress that. And it's worked in trials. It's now being rolled out. So we see it in public health, we see it as having a toolbox, right? We've got multiple tools now in the toolbox to manage this ongoing pandemic, but we're still not out of it. I still have concerns about mass infection, because there's the potential for new variants. Of course, we know that it's happened multiple times already, although it's looking all right at the moment, but things could change. What worries me is mass infection. What about the long-term effects of COVID? We still don't know that. So what other things going to happen to all of us? I've not had COVID yet, I don't think. But I will likely get it now that I'm going back to normal, as we all are.
Yeah.
It's probably inevitable that we're going to come across it. So what are the long-term impacts of having COVID? And that's something we don't know.
The thing that's kind of weirded me out a bit with it is, so I did have COVID last year,
Yeah.
and it was, like, I didn't get it super serious. I certainly wasn't, rushed off to the hospital.
Yeah.
It was just like an incredibly bad flu for me.
Yeah.
Where I was like weekend at Bernie's, just slumped on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, and I've got two young kids, so they were like running around, and my girlfriend was trying her best to keep the plates spinning kind of thing in the house, but I'm just like slumped there, one eye open, just trying to make sure they don't kill themselves. But I guess I'd still categorize that as a relatively mild experience compared to what it could have been. I was reading stuff today where they said that they're starting to figure out now, or they're starting to establish, that people who had serious COVID, of which I probably would not count myself in that bracket, but people who have had serious COVID can expect some sort of like cognitive decline.
Yeah.
Which, like, blew my fucking mind. I was like, so if you have, like, I mean, this whole time we've been thinking, it's more serious than the flu, but also most people have it mild, but also you might get it kind of serious. And now we're saying, and also if you do get this sort of flu-y thing, you might fucking damage your brain.
Yeah, exactly. So what we know about COVID is that it's definitely not like the flu. It's not an influenza virus. It infects multiple organs and tissues, including the brain and the heart. So, and what else? We don't know everything yet. We're learning every day. It's also long COVID as well. Obviously that post-viral syndrome that's affecting millions of people. So again, we don't want to scaremonger, because it's just like we have to live. This is the situation we're in. This is the world we live in now. Yeah. We have to get on with life to some degree. So I accept that. But for me, I still do a risk assessment every day. I think about, on the tube, I always wear a mask. I wear a mask in the pub. But I do go to the pub. I didn't go to the pub before. I've started going back to the pub and seeing my friends, which is great. Actually socializing again.
Yeah.
These kind of things that I was not doing because I was like completely paranoid. Actually, no. We need to have consider the other elements. Mental health, for example.